Shelley Winter Show. Bam, bam, bam. So, you know, fun, natural fun. That's the word, one of the lines. I'm sorry. I'm. It's a funny day. It's just a funny day. I met. Shout out. So today, I went with one of our marketing folks, Damon, to see the new client at virtualimagingatl.com. And went up to their offices this afternoon. I've got to sign up for a scan because I think I haven't had a scan in about a year and a half, almost 2 years. But went up to meet those guys, and I'm telling you, it's a cool thing to do and endorse a business like Virtual Imaging because it's actually saving lives, right? You go there, you find out that you need to get something fixed. You know what I mean? In time, it saves lives. It really does. And you need to know what's going on inside of you. And it's really kind of cool to be a part of the team that helps people recognize that they need to get something or change their lifestyle or stop doing something because it's impacting their health, and they can see it impacting their health and in many cases catch it at the right time to save their lives. And it's kind of cool. So shout out to Bob up at virtualimagingatl.com. It's great meeting you, and I appreciate you guys trusting me to move the needle with virtualimagingatl.com. Go there, ladies and gentlemen. I'm telling you, just go for a free consultation. I'm telling you, especially those of you that are up there in age. I mean, it's right there, and it will save your life. So I'm doing show prep, right? And I come across this sound, and this is the funniest thing, right? Now, it's funny. You can't see it on radio, so it's only funny because you can hear the voice. I play the sound for you, but you can't see the reactions. So I want to play this Hegseth, the one that says Hegseth. I want to play this for you. Listen to this.
Look, I'm not a fan of the guy. If you look at, and you never cover this.
Hegseth. Get it. It's my fault. Yes. That's it. We'll play it. My apologies, Colby. Yeah, listen to this, ladies and gentlemen.
And Pete, I think you were the first one to speak up. And you said, let's do it, because you can't let them have a nuclear weapon.
So he says, I think, Pete, you're the first one to speak up. And so it kind of sounds like he's saying, yeah, Pete, this was your idea. Now, I'm not saying that's what he's saying, right? Because he's talking and he's saying you're the first one to have spoken up, right? But you got to see Pete Hegseth's face during this whole thing. He is so serious. Like if you could read his mind, I'm sure going through his mind in that moment is like, really, dude? Right? Really? Me? Like, I'm dead serious. You got to see this. You got to see this. It's hard to translate over the radio, right? But play that again. Hit that again, Colby. Listen to this.
And Pete, I think you were the first one to speak up. And you said, let's do it, because you can't let them have a nuclear weapon.
So he's essentially blaming Pete Hegseth for bombing Iran. It's the funniest thing. Now, here's another one. I want you to hear this. This is President Trump on Joe Kent. I want to play the sound for you. I want you to hear it, and then I want to tell you a story.
Look, I'm not a fan of the guy. If you look at, and you never cover this, if you look at his truths or whatever he went on, if it's X or truth, if you look at his truths or his statements, he was all for everything. All of a sudden, he wasn't. He was a man that I met at Dover. He came and his wife was killed. He remarried fairly quickly. His wife was killed, and I felt badly for him. He ran for Congress, he lost. He ran for Congress again, and he lost. I said, he's a guy, nice guy, seemed like a very nice guy. I met him, he was pretty heartbroken, but I said, it's a shame. He ran for Congress twice. Call him up, give him a job in the White House. smart. They gave him a job in the White House, and this is what he does to me. You know, being a nice guy doesn't pay off too much.
It's so funny because you got to hear. He's saying that Joe Kent, he hired Joe Kent. He was just trying to help him out because he needed a job. So I'll tell you a funny story. Could you imagine you're at your job? You're at your job and you're let go for whatever reason. You're let go. And someone says to your manager, if you're not owning your company, but your manager, whatever, whoever hired you, they say, hey, wait, why'd you hire that guy? And your answer to your company or to the people that are asking the question, which is probably going to be your company, oh, you know what? Met the guy one time. His wife had passed away, and he needed work, so I made him whatever. You were the head of manufacturing, or you were the head of sales, or you were the head of deliveries. Whatever it is, you were the head guy. You were the guy in charge. And they fired you, and someone asked, hey, why'd you hire him in the first place? And the answer from the person who hired you was, I felt bad for the guy. Joe Kent was hired, based on the president's words right there, Joe Kent was hired as the head of counterterrorism. Pretty important job in the year 2026, especially when you're telling me that the country we just bombed is the largest sponsor of terrorism around the world. We've got the Houthis, we've got ISIS, we've got ISIL, we've got Taliban, we've got Iran. I mean, we've got all of these Muslim terrorist groups. We've got all of these other kinds of terrorist groups. We've got the cartels. We've got the Chinese. And you put a guy, by your own words, you put a guy in charge of counterterrorism, which means drugs, which means the Communist Party, which means Muslim terrorists, whatever it is. You put the guy in charge of all of that to protect us based on the fact that he needed a job because his wife just died. You can't make this up. And let me be honest with every single person, because I know the criticism is going to come. But let me be honest before the criticism even starts to roll off your mouths as you listen to me right now. If Biden would have done the same thing and said the same thing about the head of counterterrorism, you'd be calling him an old Alzheimer's, dementia-filled old man. That's what you'd be saying. You know you would. If Joe Biden said the same thing about someone that he hired as head of counterterrorism, not head of transportation or head of maybe the SBA or head of farming or agriculture. No, counterterrorism. Why'd you hire him, Mr. President? I felt bad for the guy. He needed work. Mr. President, I need a job. Can I be, I don't know, head of the FBI? This is Shelley Winter Show. 448-720-0750. 1-800-WSB-TALK. It just gets stupider and stupider and stupider. We'll be right back.